That story has nothing to do with anything, and I'm glad I told it.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Aaron Deister, and this week I'm joined by fellow Bafflegabbers Jonathan Watkins.
Hello, hello.
And Ian Whittington.
Hello.
Whoa. Oh,
No,
I'm sorry.
don't do it.
I gotta fan myself off a little bit before I continue. Wow. We write for CinemaSins and TV Sins and do various other things inside the CinemaSins universe as well. Merry Christmas, or Christmas, as the case may be.
Christmas.
Happy holidays.
We're just going to keep doing
Xmas.
that. Yeah.
We're just going to keep doing that. As this comes out, we are 2 days away from Christmas, and hope your holiday season, however you celebrate it, is going well for you. Ian is in a room with a Christmas tree, so be careful. I've seen on Doctor Who those things can attack. I've seen that.
Thanks for that. I'm looking over my shoulder now, just waiting for it to start spinning.
I feel like that tree was more centralized earlier, but I could be wrong.
Dude, no, don't do that, Jonathan, because you mean that, and now I'm going to be thinking that the damn thing is sneaking up on me.
So Ian is hanging out with a sentient Christmas tree that is out for the death of mankind.
I'm not.
It's amazing. Do you remember? You're a huge Doctor Who fan.
Yes.
We were talking a little bit about that in the pre-show, but what do you know what those creatures were that were like the sentient Christmas trees, or do you remember that? That was one of the Christmas episodes, right?
Yeah,
I just remember that the Christmas trees attacked in one of those episodes.
No, they were remote control. They were being...
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, if I remember, that was the Great Consciousness or something was controlling. And the same thing that controlled the Autons, which is the mannequins that would come to life, I think was controlling the Christmas trees. But I haven't seen that episode in about 6-7 years.
Yeah.
But yes, they were just remote control.
Yeah, that was the same one where they were shooting with their trombones, right? Like they were...
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Okay, we've done that one then, right? That was...
I think we have, actually. I think we've seen that one. Yeah.
That was Tenet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the introduction to Donna Noble, Catherine Tate's character.
Okay, we've done that.
It was the Runaway Bride? Not the Runaway Bride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was it the Runaway Bride?
Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right. Yeah.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
I wrote sins for that one, and it was...
Donna Noble has been saved. Sorry, you have entered the Doctor Who podcast now. No, you have not. We are going to do Behind the Sins. So let's. Jonathan's like, nope.
I would have nothing to add. I know that.
Jonathan is me every time you guys start talking about Star Trek.
I love it because I'm involved no matter what. I'm just like, I don't care which one of you is mad at me. I'm good.
What if Aaron and I started talking about Lost? Would you still be?
Yeah, that would. No, I couldn't add much to the conversation, but I still love the show. And I've just been corrected. It was the Nestine consciousness. Thank you. I got there.
Okay.
Yeah, I nearly got there.
What about X-Files?
Love X-Files. Love it.
Keep going. Man, his nerddom is just too expansive. We can't find it.
Great. He's even like, yeah, Captain Kangaroo. I got it, man.
I know
Captain Kangaroo.
I don't even remember what happened on Captain Kangaroo.
Wasn't he in the Suicide Squad?
I think you're right. I think that's absolutely the case.
It was a kid's show.
Guys, we are off the rails today. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah. All words are letters, dickhead.
Let's go ahead and get into the SinSide Scoop.
What's he building in there?
I've got a secret.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're going to take a look at the videos from the week, the process of sinning them, how we felt about the stuff we are sinning in general, and we will kick it off in commercial sins world with Lexus Christmas. This was a Jeremy Scott script. Jeremy writing on this one, and Lexus wants to sell you cars for Christmas. Anyone ever bought a car for Christmas? Either of you guys?
Not for Christmas. No. I bought my wife a car when she got her certification for her field.
Oh, nice.
But that's the only time I've ever really bought a car as a gift. I've never received a car as a gift.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, me either. It's a foreign world to me. I watch a commercial like this, and I'm like, people give people, $50,000 Christmas gifts. Like that's just it's not in my world. Not in my world. No. What did you guys think about this, Ian? Why don't we start with you? What are some of your thoughts on this commercial and the sins and all that kind of stuff?
The commercial's just like really simple. Like it's, I don't know, that's maybe not a fair criticism, but it's like, hey, dude, dance around this car. and be happy about the fact that you have a car, and we're going to very lightly dust the pavement with the sidewalk or whatever, the drive, whatever it is, words, with snow, and that's going to be enough, and you're going to enjoy this Lexus, which the obviously video rightfully took it to task with. Yeah, it's a weird one. It's just really, really bland, and my favourite sin was just the observation that this would make so much more sense if it was actually an adult that's dancing around like a child, like you're
and possibly be funnier.
The lead. Yeah, it would absolutely be funnier. And yeah, just finding out that $100,000 is missing from your bank account, it's like, enjoy that gift. Because that kind of purchase is really bizarre, because that's, I think it's the wife that's given the present to the husband. So isn't that a decision that you make together? Well, I'm making assumptions about them being married, but they are a family unit. And that is a big assumption that they're going to be okay with that expense.
Yeah, and I should say, like, to go back to me, when I bought my wife car, it wasn't new. It was, so I don't have experience with new.
Oh, yeah,
but
it's not going to be.
We actually went and she picked it out and stuff. Because, I mean, I don't know how you surprise. Because what if they don't like it? What if they don't,
It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing. I like the idea that somebody would buy their significant other or partner or whatever a $100,000 vehicle and surprise them with it. Like I would buy a toaster and surprise them with. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, how rich do you have to be? Who is this commercial targeting? And
I mean, you can read. I mean, you usually have like a 11-day return policy or something, but still, that's such a pain. Like, there's no way you would do this.
I bought you a Lexus for the next 11 days.
Well, I'm saying if they didn't like it, but there's no way you would go, because it is a nightmare to buy a new car in a lot of ways. Like, it's just the paperwork and just. It's not fun. It's not fun.
The timing of hiding it as well, and then having it there on Christmas morning. That's you're
it's wild.
Asking.
But I mean, people do that like for their kids, but it's usually not a new car, but they park it at a neighbor's or something.
Kids makes a little bit more sense, because that's kind of suck it up. You've got a car. Like, I don't care if you don't like it. I've just bought you a damn car. Be grateful.
I love my daughter. I don't care how much money I have when she's 16. I'm definitely not buying her a new $100,000 car, because my experience with friends' kids driving is. It's that car. Yeah. Something's going to happen to that car.
Yep.
They're not going to take care of it or something. Yeah.
They're going to wreck it, crash it.
You're
not
getting
take care
a used
of it,
Volvo and enjoy.
Yeah. I'm going on Facebook Marketplace. I'm spending $1,200, and we're going to hope it gets from point A to point B for you, and you're going to pay us back. That's how you do it. We've already talked about just the weird idea of buying a luxury vehicle for Christmas. Beyond that, the sins for me, just coming back over and over again to those grass lines. Why? What is the design that's like, hey, let's melt the snow in, weird geometrical shapes on the grass?
That is bizarre.
It's so weird. It's just so weird, because it immediately takes you out of any kind of realism. Like, whose yard has weird non-snowy lines in them? And then I loved the slam on the burgundy interior. I thought it was great. Hilarious. Jonathan, what about you?
You guys mentioned most of them. I did do the grown dads doing dances is always going to kill. Didn't you see Tropic Thunder? I did have that one written down. But the burgundy interior was my favorite. What's this? Mother's Winnebago from Sneakers?
Any Sneakers reference is A-okay with me.
Yes, for sure.
All right. Let's move into TV sins. It is the Christmas season, and so we have sinned a Christmas special. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. That's right.
Did you guys see when I tweeted this out for TV sins? I usually just copy and paste the YouTube description, but on this one, I was like, we know we suck.
Yeah. There's a lot of that in the comments, like, how dare you? Yeah, that kind of stuff. This is the old claymation Rudolph that has played over the years, every Christmas, to generations of children. Cardoso Hughes script, Danae and Daniel writing on this one. What did you guys think of this? Jonathan, why don't you start us off on this one? What are your memories of Rudolph, this special, and this script?
I mean, I watched it, obviously, as a kid quite a bit, up until, I don't know, when I stopped watching stuff like this, but and then watched it again, as a lot of parents do, when my daughter was a little younger. We have not watched any of those this year, at least not as of yet. I don't know how much it enters her at 10. As it, that this feels more like 5, 6, somewhere in that range. But but it was fun. It was fun watching this video and just kind of being reminded of all the things. Disclaimation is both fun and it's also kind of creepy at times. At least this doesn't have like Heat Miser or whatever that stuff is.
No, but, that's a different one.
Santa Claus is coming to town, maybe.
I think so, yeah.
But Rudolph is very cute, and I didn't really think about how much they're just like criticizing him though, or her. I don't even know now. Them when Rudolph is a baby, like just and how like through the sinning process, you made Santa come off so creepy.
Well, I think the show did that.
Yeah.
No, I know, because you had that one set. It was like Santa basically saying, I'd love to promote you on merit, but I only choose the most fuckable reindeer, and quite frankly, I can't stand the look of your face. So
yeah,
great.
Yeah.
I also liked, as far as the other sins, I like this O is too big. That was funny to me. Cornelius is using a wiener dog on his sleigh team. Why? How?
Mm-hmm.
And then I loved the Any Given Sunday outtake with Rudolph standing there with the reindeer standing there with the cap on, like giving the speech. I mean, it was perfect.
Yeah, the outtakes have been spectacular. We've been hitting a real run in our edits of incredible outtakes. Like it's been a lot of fun to see those continually come in. But I love that one as well. Ian, what about you?
Never seen the special, so I had no context for it. But
are these? I guess these aren't really played in England. The Rankin Bass stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I'm sure it's been seen over here by people, but it's not something that is something that I see rotating around every single Christmas for sure.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But yeah, no, I think Danae and Daniel nailed this script. Like, it is so funny. And there's some great wordplay. Old fascist is great.
Mm-hmm.
That's old fascist.
That's great. Yeah, I had that one down too.
Yeah, it's so good. I was like, oh, Aaron must have written this script. I'm just used to assuming you're messing with words. But yeah, it's crazy to me how judgmental this show is, and it's easy to say like, yeah, 60 years ago it was different and whatnot. But it's really bad. Like, they are mean to Rudolph until he serves a purpose. Santa is super creepy. And I'm just like, man, I'm really glad I didn't grow up with this. But yeah, a few of the Sins Christmas seals, now they're just regular seals that happen to enjoy celebrating Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so deadpan, because it's like, well, thanks for sucking all of the joy out of everything. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, love to promote you based on merit is great. Also, this story is leaning hard on the laughable idea of a white blonde-haired dentist being persecuted for who he is. It's just so good, because like, oh, you think you have problems, really? Yeah, that's great. Yeah, love the video so much, and yeah, the outtakes are awesome. I remember Danae being really, really proud of these outtakes.
Yeah, I agree. Really, really funny. It's interesting with these Christmas specials. I don't think I ever sat down and watched them as a kid. Like, it just wasn't part of our tradition. However, when I see them, I'm like, I know every beat of these things, and I don't understand how both things are true. Like, I don't understand how it wasn't like a huge part of my life, and yet I know them, like front to back. And I think that's just kind of something that happens with, things that exist in nostalgia. Like, it almost becomes like a community nostalgia kind of thing. And you just see them enough to just know what's going on in them. But I thought this video was great. You mentioned pretty much everything I had. The one you mentioned about the Christmas seals, I love the end of that one, where it's like, so I'm giving this a sin because I think this cheeky snowman knew that. It's like sinning the idea that it was intentional, which it was, clearly. Is a great way to kind of diffuse that. That's fun. And the only other one I had that you guys didn't say was, is the snowman wearing gloves to keep his hands warm? Like, what kind of snowman is trying to stay warm? This is antithetical to their existence.
Yeah, it is.
So yes, I really enjoyed this video. It's great stuff. Love sending the Christmas specials.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
Hope we continue to do that every holiday. because that's a lot of fun. All right, let's move on to, pretty much kind of the same tone as Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. We're going to talk about The Witcher.
Yeah, like when Rudolph goes to that orchard with the naked women picking apples.
Yeah, with all the naked deer. Yeah, totally.
Seems, yeah.
The Witcher's second season, I think, dropped on Netflix this past week or two. And so we have seen the pilot, The End's Beginning. This was a Weewa script. This was Jonathan and Ian writing on this one.
I don't like that.
What?
You don't like Weewa?
I don't think so.
It's just a sound an ambulance makes. Weewa,
That's
weewa,
true.
Nice.
weewa.
And if it's going backwards, it goes wah-wee, wah-wee, wah-wee.
Yeah. Wah-wee, wah-wee.
Oh my goodness.
Jonathan, what are your thoughts on the Witcher pilot and the script?
This is weird. When it came out originally, I think I watched the pilot because I felt like I had seen a lot of this, but I never watched anything else. Maybe I watched the second episode, but I remember I thought it was interesting, but I think I just had a lot of different things going on at that time, so I just never, I do this a lot with shows, sadly. And once again, I watched it and I'm like, I kind of want to see what happens after this. I don't think it's great, but there's enough there. I like Henry Cavill quite a bit. He seems to be pretty good in this role. Some of the supporting act characters, I don't know how long they're in the show, but like there's some interesting stuff going on there. So I'm curious to see, and I don't know anything about this world. I've never read the books. I've never played the games. So I know very little about this world. So I don't know if they're capturing it well, but I feel like it's got a pretty hardcore fan base. Like I think it's pretty well received, but I could be wrong. I mean, they made a second season, so I guess
that's the impression I get too.
Yeah.
I get the impression there is a really solid core group of Uber fans of this show.
Yeah. So I'm curious. It's not ever probably going to be really high up there. I mean, there's just other things I'd rather watch, but there's enough going on to where I'm interested. It is, and I know it has its own source material. I don't know the difference between like when Game of Thrones books are released, when Witcher stuff was released, but this show, it was hard not to think about Game of Thrones. But Game of Thrones could just be one of those shows that's like so much like it's like the fantasy show now just because of how big it was. That might not really be fault of The Witcher. That might just be me kind of wanting to put that on there. But that's why I said discount Lannisters, and that I wrote that then because that's kind of how it felt. And I think we had the music, right? And the outtakes, and we have the Game of Thrones music.
Yeah. Another great batch of outtakes.
But I had fun writing on this one, and some of my favorite scenes. I loved Ian because I thought that was weird too. There's this whole bit where like the little girl, I don't know how little she is, but the younger girl is walking with him, and she's like telling him her name, and then she asked his name, and then like she says her name's Marika. She says like milk, and then the sin is, how the fuck are you spelling milk? And then he says his name is Geralt, just like Garreter. And she says, just like Garreter. And then she's like, no, like fucking Geralt. What's her problem?
He told you.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious because I thought it was weird too, but I couldn't think of anything. So I was really glad that Ian wrote something.
Hey, can we talk about this now since you just brought up that sin, the pronunciation of Geralt? Because
Geralt. Yeah, I said it wrong.
No. I don't know if you did or not. I said it like I thought was in the script, and then when I listened, I was like, yeah, that's pretty much how it said. There may be like a little kind of touch of accent to it or something. And then in the comments, like the hardcore fans were like,
I know,
man, said the name wrong the entire time. And I'm like listening, I'm going, what am I hearing it wrong? Like it sounds similar enough to me.
Because I looked up the pronunciation of it, and the pronunciation of it I found online sounds different than what they say in the show. So I decided to go with how they said it in the show, but people might be questioning that we didn't do that, but that's what it sounded like to me.
There was somebody who said they say it in the show, and then he says it immediately different. And I'm like, it sounds the same to me. I didn't catch
that. That's my bad if that's the case, because that's what I ended up deciding to do was just like, if this is the way they're saying it in the show, I feel like this is the way we should say it.
Ian, what do you think? What do you hear?
Geralt. But again, accents are weird because I'm English. But well, no, it's not because I'm
English. You could have been like putting more emphasis
but
on the one half, maybe. But
perhaps
I mean,
there was more of an O instead of an A. So like maybe you say Geralt instead of Geralt.
Geralt?
But
I don't know. I say Geralt.
I don't know.
No, you definitely say Geralt.
Yeah, you weren't a million miles away from it regardless. But yeah, people in the comments definitely seem to think we were
so
doing
weird.
that
I was like,
wrong.
Oh, all right. I felt like I was back saying like, Pokemon or whatever. I felt like it was one of those situations.
Yeah, I kind of felt like there were going to be people that accused us of that. But I mean, like I said, I as
We did
close
our
as I
best.
could come to what was in the show is kind of what I
Yeah, we
went
did our
with.
best.
The only other two I'll mention, I love the call me old fashioned, but I always taught to at least say hello before attempting to purchase someone's Kikimora. Thought that was great. And is it Siri, Ian? Is that the girl, the princess? Or
Siri. Yeah, correct.
When
Yeah.
she screams, and then the sin is, wow, did you see that shit? Those glasses, they moved slightly.
That was my favorite.
It's such a dumb scene. It was like, this is like a huge moment. And I'm like, slightly wobbling glass.
Yeah. Ian, what about you?
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed the show. I haven't played the games either. Well, I played a little bit of the most recent one, but I haven't like gone really, really hard into the story or into what it's all about. I remember there being like a bit of backlash when Henry Cavill was cast because the man doesn't look. There's no problem with him not
Good
looking.
God,
like
I was going to say, if you have a
Geralt,
problem
but-
with the way Henry Cavill looks, I just don't
No,
get
no,
you.
that's, yeah. But I think it's because he's so distinctive. I mean, he is Superman. Like, you know that's Henry Cavill. To then change his appearance so drastically, I remember there being like a bit of backlash about, no, this isn't going to work. So I can't unsee that he's Henry Cavill, but it doesn't matter. He's so good in this. I really, really, really enjoy it. Even most of it is just him grunting and going,
Yeah.
Oh my God, so much.
so much. But really, really enjoy the show. I like this. The entire series has a Chris Nolan time element to it, which is a bit funky. Like, I won't give anything more away than that.
Now I'm more
but
interested.
Yeah, it's really, really worth watching, and it's a small commitment as well. But yeah, love the show. Really, really good. That's one of my favourite scenes is when you're just like, man, this show's 90%. Because it really is like that's pretty much all the acting he has to do is just grumble. Why? Yeah, the weird thing in the show that I didn't remember until this time round was they're so obsessed with his clothing. And it's like it's just so weird that they zeroed in on that because his armor is so recognizable. Like I from the little I played the game, I immediately knew, they really were true to the armor. But maybe that's why they focused on it, just to point and kind of nudge it a little bit, perhaps. And the combat at the end of the show this episode is so good. Like it just shows what you don't have to do shaky cam, you don't have to do quick cuts, just let it happen. Like the one at a time thing is nonsense, but I think we're just going to have to accept that will always be.
I mean, that's been the case since the 1920s. I mean, that's always
forever.
been how they do fights.
It's always going to happen.
If I could look that badass in that armor, though, I would wear that all day, every day. You would never see me. It'd be like Aaron in his black shirts, like Jonathan's in his Witcher armor.
Yep, that's the normal. So I love that scene. That was the next one I was going to mention. Was I would wear this all day, every day, and I want to see Jonathan do that. So I know what to get you for
I would not
Christmas.
look like Henry Cavill.
I really enjoyed. They were talking about the werewolf, she-wolf. I was like, she-wolves don't exist. I was like, that Shakira denies because it's like I don't know if anybody really remembers that song at all, but she had a song. I liked that. But I think the dumbest sin for me is losing the helmet mid-battle. And this is something that Game of Thrones does, and I want there to be a reason for why it happens, but it's just a TV thing. It has to be, because there's no reason to wear it ornamentally into battle and then take it off when you need the damn thing, other than we need to see who's fighting who. So, yeah, just enjoyed seeing that because it's so frustrating. And boring your steed with screeds of deeds before they've agreed to heed, which I really liked writing. But of course, Aaron had to stick an extra word in there, so I feel like it's not really. He was like, "You do know you could say screed," and I was like, "Well, that's a word I do not know, so thank you."
Listen, we're all here to make each other better.
Yeah.
That's how it works. That's how
Team
it works.
effort. I'm not bitter.
It was already genius. I just added a little gumdrop to the top of the gingerbread house.
Needed.
All right, The Witcher is terrible in my opinion. I watched
interesting.
I watched the first 2 episodes and was just like, I am out. This is not interesting to me. I don't get it. Maybe it's maybe if I stuck with it longer, I'd find something. But to me, it just felt like I wasn't seeing anything new. I wasn't I wasn't experiencing any kind of interesting thoughts that I hadn't had in other sci-fi. I wasn't connecting to the characters. Everybody felt like they were interestingly shallow to me. So maybe I was in a bad mood. I don't know. It could be anything. Like but I remember coming away from that second episode going, well, I get to mark that one off the list. I don't need to ever go back to that. I am fully willing to admit I am in the wrong on this and was just having a bad day because obviously people love this show.
It's a personal choice as well, isn't it? Like there's a lot of Game of Thrones about it.
Yeah, I just came away going like, so we're trying to do this fantasy thing that's big right now, and it wasn't working for me. This is based on a video game, right? Have we said that? I can't remember if we've even talked about that.
Well, it's based on the video game is based on books.
Yeah, the books were, I believe, first.
Henry Cavill was specifically said we need to, because he's a massive fan of it. He's wants this to be based on the books rather than the video game. But the video game is more famous and populous than the books for sure.
So that's my mistake then. So the books predated the video games.
Correct.
The video games were based on the books. This is also based on the books. So got it. That makes sense to me. So I wasn't a fan. Having watched this video, strangely enough, as is the opposite of what usually happens, now I'm more curious. Maybe I should give it another try. Because just kind of zooming into some of these moments, I'm seeing a little more of the texture, a little more of the nuance. You're right about the fighting. So yeah, I don't know that I will give it another try just because my reaction was so clear in my head after watching those first two episodes. But this video nudged me in that direction. Let's just say. The only one that I would mention that you guys haven't mentioned was 3,000 of My Men Died feels more like an emo number My Chemical Romance would tackle, but it could still have some catch to it. I thought that was a lot.
I went through a bunch of different band names for that, but bands,
no,
actual bands, but I landed on My Chemical Romance. So
it was great. It was great. All right, let's move into CinemaSins. The Suicide Squad is the first video, not Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad.
Titling now. I just hate it. There's no reason not to call this like Return to the Suicide Squad, Suicide Squad 2. I mean, there's just
Well, especially because it actually uses the same universe. Like it's not.
Yes. It's so confusing.
It's very similar to the Halloween situation.
Final Destination did this. That like the fourth film was the Final Destination.
But it isn't.
Yeah.
No, they had a fifth. That's right.
Although with Halloween it's even worse because they don't even call it the Halloween. They call it Halloween.
Yeah, just renaming it's ridiculous. There's 3 movies in that series called Halloween, and they're doing that with Scream. They're just calling it Scream. It's a marketing thing. I get it. Like because these are
why is it a marketing thing?
There's a stigma, isn't there, to be in the 4th and 5th in the series because
do they think the audience doesn't know?
Yes, probably. Like I didn't know that Scream because I haven't looked into it. I assumed Scream was a reboot until I chose to watch the trailer and thought, oh no, this is a continuation. So I would have gone into it thinking it was a reboot, and I was a bit more interested. And I'm not saying that's right, but it definitely, on that occasion, it worked for me as an alien to the franchise.
Somebody thinks that this is going to earn it more money. I mean, somebody has to think that, or they wouldn't do
100%,
it.
100%. And I don't think they're right, but that's definitely what they're thinking.
This was a Scottington script. Jeremy and Ian writing on this one. So, Ian, what were your thoughts on the Suicide Squad in the video?
I was ready to dislike this movie, and I went into it as a bad person, waiting to hate on it and waiting for it to be bad. And I really, it's not great. It's by no means a great movie, but I had so much fun. And I don't dislike the older Suicide Squad. It was Fincher, wasn't it? Fincher?
No.
Oh no! It was David Ayer.
Yeah, it was Ayer.
Why did I think it was Fincher? That weird.
It's one of the Davids, but yeah.
I want to see David Fincher.
David Fincher's Suicide Squad, man. That'd be something else. Yeah.
But I like Ayer's Suicide Squad quite a bit, but it's a lot worse than this. I think it's just it's a funny movie. It's colourful. Of course, Margot Robbie is great in it. I think they just get... This is actually a team that I enjoy being with, and I enjoy the banter between them. I think Idris Elba is a little bit wasted, but not as much as Hollywood usually wastes him. Like, it's allowing him to keep his accent gives him so much more character. It was like seeing Luther on the Suicide Squad. So yeah, really liked it, and I'm really proud of this video. Like, Jeremy is, as we know, freaking hilarious. But I think the team up on this, I don't know, I'm really, really proud of how the video came out. Some of my favourite sins, the Holy Double Cross Sneaky Team 2 Batman. I love sticking in. That was Jeremy, but I love whenever we can get a Holy something Batman. Leftover Nazi scientists doing sketchy shit. If the world actually had as many as appeared in TV shows and films, it's absolutely true. You bump into them at Walmart, and then just turning that idea of engineering a Twinkie to go back and kill Winston Churchill is something that Netflix would definitely greenlight and pick up. And I'm expecting that to come out next year, and I can go and sue them and fail. Angels don't splooge, they anoint. Because Jeremy. There were 2 instances where God was mentioned and angels were mentioned, and I went past it because I was like, Jeremy's got something for that. And whatever I write, I guarantee that Jeremy's will be better. And that's splooging angels. Yeah, it was beautiful. And how that they would all be the office workers that turn against Waller, and how they would end up in prison mumbling into the bucket they were given to poop in. I love that visual so much. It's great. Those are my thoughts. I love this video.
I'll go next. It's interesting. The Suicide Squad is a ton of fun, and James Gunn knows how to have fun with multiple characters. That's like Guardians of the Galaxy is the same way, right? You've got this crew of misfits, knows how to have a blast, and he's really smart about where he puts the joy in the scene, and how he uses like quirkiness for his characters. He's really, really good at that. And so I get the love for this movie. It doesn't work for me overall. It's just not. I like to connect to movies in ways that this movie isn't interested in connecting to me, right? I think that's the simplest way to say it. Like, it's not interested in connecting to me intellectually. It's not interested in connecting to me emotionally. It's not interested in, connecting in any of these ways. It's just, this is absurdist comedy. These people are, do hilarious things. This is fun to laugh at. And, I totally understand why that can be enough for some people. I actually like James Gunn better when he has guardrails on. I like the Guardians of the Galaxy version of James Gunn where there's actually somebody guiding the story, saying, okay, here's where we're going, here's what it means, those kind of things, and putting those guardrails on, versus the here's our characters, do whatever you want, go as crazy as you like. That version of this is not as fun for me, so I didn't have as much fun as most people during this movie. And I don't connect to the extreme violence. It bothers me more than makes me laugh. There's the moment in the video where he just stabs the guy a million times as he's walking by, and we take a sin off because it's hilarious to most people. That makes me sick. Like, I don't get why that's. I listen.
I can see that.
Intellectually, I get why it's funny, because it's anything that's so shocking and casual like that can be. That's where humor comes from. Humor comes a lot from I wasn't expecting that, and so that's funny. But for me, I'm just like, okay, it just doesn't connect to me in that way. So those are my thoughts on the movie, which probably are not surprising to anybody who is listening to me talk about movies for any length of time. So anyhow, as far as the video, though, really, really enjoyed it. The bird vengeance sin where he's like, and with this bird vengeance, I present to you the only thing that comes close to a fully realized story arc, really spoke to me. It's like, yes, thank you.
Knowing how you feel about the film, that was written for you.
Yes, that one was written for me. And then the why does Radio Shack ask for your phone number when you buy batteries, just as a random throw-in to like a stupid question. Answering a stupid question with a stupid question. I'm going to have to put that one in my bag of tricks. That's a lot of fun and really interesting way to do that. Why are you afraid of rats? And the narrator just says, well, the plague mostly. It's just like, yeah, that makes total sense. Had to mention the Fighty Quinn, which I thought was beautiful, and the singing of the Fighty Quinn is just wonderful. I love it when
Jeremy sings so much.
So much. And then we have to talk about this. We can hold it for later if you want to. But the sin that's please stare into CinemaSins' soul while eating the apple, where Harley Quinn looks at the camera in slow motion during a hero shot and takes a bite of the apple, is to me the biggest, hugest example of, are you talking to us right now, that I've ever seen in a movie. I'm not telling you James Gunn was thinking of us. I'm not telling you that at all. I'm just telling you there are moments that happen where it's like, it would not surprise me if he was. You know, like there are moments like that happen where, and honestly, let's be very clear. The Apple thing didn't start with us. Like that has been a common trope. We have just pointed it out in large ways. So he could just be taking a big look at the trope itself, right? Like he could just be, breaking the fourth wall and just being like, yes, I know exactly what I'm doing with this trope. However, it does feel like James Gunn is the kind of person that would, and again, there's so many great at CinemaSins, jokes in here. Like his sense of humor vibes with what we do enough that it wouldn't surprise me. And there has never been a moment that explicitly that I'm just like, man. And so the sin captured it perfectly. Loved that sin because it captured that idea perfectly.
All of the pieces are there for it. It wouldn't surprise me. It's not likely, but it's not unlikely. Like, it's not like we're kind of flying under the radar with some of the videos. Like, there are directors that have opinions about CinemaSins. Like, it's absolutely possible, and it's a fun thought. But what tortures me about it is that we probably never know.
No, he would never say.
We will never
he
know.
would never say. Yeah, for sure. Jonathan, what about you?
I'm more like Aaron. I look, Gunn started his career early in his career. He worked with Lloyd Kaufman and Troma. This felt like he was seeing if he could get away with making a Troma film for $150 million. And I think he did. Sure. I don't like Troma films. Like, that's not my I'm not a Toxic Avenger fan. That's not my thing. But if you want to see the Toxic Avenger with $150 million behind it, the Suicide Squad is probably going to be for you.
I do.
Yeah, sure.
I just, it comes down to, I didn't care. I just didn't laugh a lot. Like, I mean, there are some funny moments. I think the bit where they end up killing the people they think have kidnapped Flag, and they're actually people that are protecting Flag, I think that is pulled off beautifully.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That concept is hilarious.
Funny.
When I'm talking about the stabby, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I know. But I just like when they finally get to that realization and they're just like, that's like, I wish the movie was more like that section, that would have been fun. I think Stallone's really funny as King Shark. I think I love Robbie in this role. It's sad that out of 3 movies, I only really like one of them, which is Birds of Prey, but she's always really fun. She has one of the worst sequences, though. That stuff with her and the dictator, I could care less. That whole thing just feels like it goes on forever. I think that's what it came down to. I just didn't find it that funny. Like, I didn't enjoy it as much as other people were, kind of like Aaron said. I think it's better than the first one, but I don't think that's a high compliment. But I mean, and the first one was so toyed with. It was, they freaked out and they wanted to make it funnier, and they did all. I mean, the first one feels like a movie that was messed with a lot. This, at least, is clearly the director got to do his vision, and this is what he wanted out there. So I think that's all power to you. But and I do like that line. I'm glad we give a send off for that line at the end towards the end of the movie about the starfish just kind of wanting to hang out by himself and be left alone.
Oh, it's beautiful.
That
really
doesn't make up for that last 30 minutes just being pure, utter, messy chaos, but it's a very cool moment. I love the Harley survives all of this mostly due to her plot armor. I thought was really funny. Bloodsport would be Deadshot at CinemaSins, because I almost wish they had just made him Deadshot. Like, just say, we're replacing Will Smith with Idris Elba.
I totally get why they didn't, though.
I get why they didn't, too. They just don't seem to want to do that anymore. I mean, I guess growing up in the 80s when they just replaced people all the time, replace characters with different actors, especially.
Batman is George Clooney now.
Look at James
we're going to be
Bond.
fine about it.
I don't know. I just think those two characters are so the same. But that's another problem. That's more of a problem, I think, with DC Comics, right? That.
Well, that's the problem with the Suicide Squad overall. It's one of the sins that 90% of them are good with guns.
Yeah.
Like, there is no hand picking for each mission. You may as well just pick at random.
Yeah, absolutely. No, 100%. There's not a lot of thought put into it. It doesn't seem like, other than we just need 5 or 6 people that can do damage. I love that this is why I'm always going on about overcandling when everything gets set on fire. And then I just love the John Cena dancing. That was hilarious to me for some reason. Cena's really bad in this too. Man, I am all about John Cena being a movie star. I think he seems like a really nice guy and stuff, but I don't know. Between this and F9, I'm just like, I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens with Peacemaker. Maybe I'll like the character better when that show comes out. But
this really worked for me with John Cena.
He's better. He's better than he is in F9.
Yeah, but
absolutely.
I think he's given some very, very strict direction of this is your character, this is what motivates him, this is why he's a bit ridiculous. In F9, it was like, go do John Cena things. And he chose to do whatever he did.
I don't know. I don't find, like, starfish is another word for butthole. Could that be that wasn't funny to me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that line wasn't funny.
No, and that was like his character just kept saying stuff like that, and I don't know. I just didn't think he matched up well against like Elba, who just looked like he could he could kick his ass at any time. Even though I know Cena's like a bigger guy, but just Idris Elba, like you said, it's like Luther on the Suicide Squad. I mean, he just
it's gorgeous.
You know, or his character from Hobbs and Shaw is I'm Black Superman or whatever.
You mentioned Elba. I do love that there was a sin taken off when the little girl was like, but it does other things. It's because as a parent, you just felt it. You were just like, that is exactly what a kid yells at you, like in an argument.
Yeah.
Like, it was
You're not getting
good.
another Tamagotchi. Yeah, but it's not just a Tamagotchi.
That's right. It's so perfect. It's so perfect. So like I said, the film isn't without its moments of humor and cleverness. It's just really messy for me and not in the ways that I enjoy. But there you go. That is the Suicide Squad. Let's move on to a completely coherent and sensical movie, The Santa Claus 2. This is nightmare fuel injected with insanity juice. I don't remember ever seeing The Santa Claus 2. By the way, this is an Atkinson Scott script. Jeremy and Chris OG writing on this one. I guess I'll kick us off, but just to say, I remember the Santa Claus. I definitely know I've watched that a few times, and I thought I had watched 2 and 3 as well, and I don't know that I have because I don't remember this insanity. And
there's a third.
Yeah, Martin Short plays like the Jack Frost, I think.
Jack Frost, yeah. See, I feel like
I do remember that.
I just know the trailers. Yes. I haven't seen it, but
I feel like maybe I've seen 3, but not 2. Maybe somehow I just skipped 2. I have a soft spot in my heart. I know this may be a hot take for Tim Allen. I think he's really funny. I think he has a worldview that is that zooms in on things that other comedians miss. Let's just say it that way. And I enjoy him, obviously, in the Toy Story movies. I enjoyed Home Improvement quite a bit. I do have a little bit of soft spot for Tim Allen. He's obviously cashing a check here, right? Like this is a check cashing kind of thing for him. And I don't necessarily blame people for that. But man, what a weird movie! What a weird movie! And the Sins video takes it to task, rightfully so. I had this weird moment during the video. I'll start with the sins that I wanted to pull out with this, where we do the Jeopardy joke. I'll take such and such for 500, and then we pause and we're like, whoever's hosting Jeopardy today. And that joke hit me in waves because honestly, my first reaction was sadness. My first reaction was like, oh, they're not going to say Alex because he's no longer with us. And then they make a joke that is a clever joke because Jeopardy has been through this whole thing where they're like, here's the host. Oh, wait, that's a terrible person. Guess we'll go back to this host or maybe this one or maybe both. And so they're doing this thing. And so it's a great joke. But it was interesting for me to kind of experience like sadness into laughter into it's just not something you always experience within, microseconds of a sin kind of happening. Sorry. But I thought it was really good. I have to mention Jeremy imitating the reindeer gibberish speech in the video. It was just absolutely perfect. The sin that ended with the product placement of McDonald's and ended with McDonald's sponsors truancy. McDonald's sponsors truancy, as if we're starting a riot, was wonderful. Then my Christmas wish is for this movie to eat a lump of coal, but then have a bowel obstruction trying to pass it and die on the operating table.
It's so harsh.
It's just like, I don't know that I have that kind of, like, I want to think I can expand my writing abilities to, to whatever, but like something like that is just like I just don't know that I have it in me, and it's so genius, and it's beautiful. I love seeing it. I very much identified with the shoveling sin of shoveling below the stairs before the top of the stairs. Have you never lived in a snowy area? Just absolutely ridiculous.
I haven't, but I'd still know how to do that. Like, that's just common sense. I mean,
it's like, have you never dusted anything? Don't you know to dust from top down? Like,
we never have to shovel snow, though. That's very rare. But
right, yeah. And then, of course, I had to bring up, you think a Toy Story quote will save you movie? And then just laughing at the movie. That was great as well. What about you, Ian? What are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I haven't seen this film. Didn't know it existed, to be honest. But now that I'm thinking about it, 3 makes sense. And I've definitely seen one.
I was kind of interested in 3 because I just love Martin Short. But
Martin Short's the best.
But I never watched it.
The shift in tone from the opening, like just from watching the Sins video, the shift in tone from the beginning of this video is just, it is a polar opposite to the first film. It is so different. Like, it goes from being Liar Liar-esque to like the Grinch Stole Christmas. It's so weird, that shift. Nothing about the Sins video compels me.
Hold it real quick. I don't think this movie is ever Liar Liar. I just want to
No. I mean,
not quality
Santa
wise.
Claus.
Okay, I got you.
The first one is more Liar Liar. And it's still Liar Liar is way, way, way better. But nothing about the Sins video has convinced me to watch the film, so I will just happily stay ignorant, I think. Right, can you guys tell me what a spurtle is?
That's just like spittle, right?
Oh, is it? Because the Sim was like, fuck me with a spurtle. And it made me laugh so much, but it's one of those things I laughed at having no idea what it was.
I have no idea either, now that you mentioned the context.
A spurtle, maybe it's like
a kitchen tool.
Yeah, it's a kitchen tool.
Is it?
I'd never heard of it either. It's like
a spatula, like an elongated spatula.
Yeah, it looks like it's probably an infomercial thing from some
It's
time.
like Jeremy or somebody has one of these, and it's beautiful.
Jeremy
sounds
cooks
like a Jeremy
lot and stuff. So
yeah. This is a Jeremy cooks and knows what cooking tools are. Yeah,
it's fantastic. What a great word, and I will be using it.
It's like a spork.
It's like a sporkle. I can't remember what it was referring to, but it was like, no movie, go to hell, go straight to hell. You go there, do not pass go, do not collect $200, go to hell.
Yeah,
hilarious how long that dragged on for. I loved the observation that Chris Nolan stole this idea for The Prestige.
Oh my God.
As if Chris Nolan is stealing ideas from the Santa Claus 2.
You don't
to
know.
make one of
I
the.
agree,
it could
that's
be true.
ridiculous, but it's insane.
Man,
how close that
and that's
is.
it. It's ridiculous, but I think it's right on the money. I think he absolutely had to steal the machine from Santa Claus 2. Like, it's too close for that to not be the thing. And I love the idea that Chris Nolan is watching CinemaSins videos. It's like, fuck!
They're
I've
on to
been
me!
exposed, finally! I've got away with this for so many years, and now they know. So I'm expecting a cease and desist letter from Chris Nolan at any day. So that was, whoever wrote that one, absolutely genius. And just the general nightmare fuel that is the duplicated Santa. And I don't think I could. So I have an irrational. I don't know if fear is strong enough, but when I was younger, I genuinely had a phobia of wax models, and so going to like museums and stuff, or anything that would have recreations, and there would be full size mannequins, dummies, whatever. There couldn't do. So this is too close to home.
Yeah, it's that weird plasticine face. That was like the Max Headroom kind of thing.
Yeah,
like there's a weirdness to it.
They do that on Doctor Who though, right? Like with the mannequins and stuff on Doctor Who, like they kind of look like that, don't they?
Yeah, no, that's scary to me.
He's so triggered right now.
Yeah, that was a rough episode.
No,
to watch.
I mean, no, I think it's creepy.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
it's like you could, like how they recut on YouTube. If somebody has not seen this, check it out immediately. There is somebody recut a trailer for Mrs. Doubtfire as a horror movie. And it is genius. And I think you could probably do the same thing with this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Definitely. Jonathan, some thoughts?
I have never seen this. First off, why did it take them 8 years to make this damn movie? Like, the Santa Claus was a huge hit.
That's crazy.
I can't believe it took him I mean, I guess maybe Alan was doing other things. I mean, he did, he was still doing his show. He did Toy Story, maybe. But I don't know. It's just crazy that they still made this 8 years later. But I think this was a hit, too, obviously, because they made a third one. But I did not see this. I was 26 years old. And so I didn't have a kid. I just had no interest in watching this. After watching this video, I have even less interest in ever watching this. I'm kind of with Ian. I think that thing looks creepy as hell. I'm shocked that's not talked more by kids from that time. Like, as adults now on Twitter aren't using that as like saying, this was my nightmare fuel, because God damn it. Did we even talk about that scene where they said there's nightmare fuel, there's a Human Centipede franchise, there's watching LeBron tie to act, and then there's this fresh level of hell that is Tim Allen dressed up in the same latex toy gimp suit that they used for Primus in their video for Winona's Big Brown Beaver.
It's great. That's beautiful.
Love the Thomas Dolby reference. Don't beat yourself up, kid. They blinded you with science. Which I'm sure Ian got that 100% because, you know.
No, right. I did, because I used to listen to a podcast that had, this is such a random story. They had that song as the opening to their podcast. And it was like, they blinded me with science.
Oh, it's such a terrible song.
After about a year, they had to change the intro because they got too big. And whoever owns the rights to it, wrote to them and said, you need to stop using our intro. That story has nothing to do with anything, and I'm glad I told it.
No, that's great. I do this a lot too in kids' movies when they make really ridiculous references that kids are never going to get. So I love that they send, that's right, kids, here's your requisite joke about Charlie Sheen and his hard partying lifestyle that will definitely hit your demographic in 2002.
Great.
And then also I like they gave the pronoun game a filthy inbred cousin called the subject game. I thought that was pretty clever. So
there's no need for it to be inbred.
Yeah, no, this was a really funny video. I'm happy as hell my daughter never found out about the Santa Claus. I mean, I was involved with sending the first one like a year or two ago, and that does not hold up at all. Like it's really bad. But I don't think I loved it when it first came out. I get what you're saying, Aaron. I don't hate Tim Allen, the actor / comedian. I think he's definitely got his moments. I think he's a great Buzz Lightyear. I don't think Toy Story is what it is without him and Hanks both in those roles. But I didn't watch a lot of Home Improvement, but I totally get why people like it. I mean, as far as one of those kind of sitcoms, I think it's just as good as any of them, really. That was just never really my bang. But no, it's, you know, clearly this movie has fans. I don't know. I'm not going to find out if I'm one of them, I guess.
No.
Buzz Lightyear was almost Jim Carrey. Did you know that?
No. I mean, I'm not surprised they had other people, but God, that doesn't work, right? I mean, I
don't think it works the same way for sure.
We wouldn't know any different, but that sounds really odd. I mean, Robin Williams is a great voice actor, but I don't think he would work, you know, and at least the way it came. Was Tom Hanks always Woody?
They thought about Paul Newman. For a while for Woody. Jim Carrey wasn't ever seriously considered. He was he wasn't offered the role. Who was offered the role was Billy Crystal. Nice. And he regretted turning it down so much. He was like, next time Pixar asks me, I'm in. And so of course that's, Monsters Inc. But
that's good. But he's perfect as Mike. And that's obviously he's gotten a good career out of that too. I mean, he's gotten plenty of work doing that voice. Paul Newman, I mean, obviously, I'm glad they did Tom Hanks, but that's interesting. I think Jim Carrey would have been too much at that time, though, because that's when he's getting like cable guy money. I don't think they would have paid him.
No. Yeah, that was it would have been.
Well, Tom Hanks was making a lot of money back then too, though. So
Toy Story came out in '95, but all that pre-production was going on like 3 years before then.
That's true.
Too.
So that would have even been before he was a star. Oh, that's interesting that he was even thought about. Now that you say that, God, that's fascinating. Because Living Color would have just ended.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. So their original idea with those characters was much less of a rivalry and more of like an older, been there, grizzled, kind of toy. Taking this new, young, over-eager, over-energized toy under his wing.
So that kind of thing. Newman and Carey, that does make sense then.
So, yeah. So that's our thoughts on Toy Story. We will... Actually, no, the Santa Claus 2 is what we're talking about there. We'll move into keeping tabs.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
Oh, jeez.
This is the most public yet of my many humiliations.
We're just going to take a look at something else from putting together the content for the week. Maybe an interesting Google search we did, deleted sin, anything that strikes our fancy. And by all of us, I mean not all of us, because I didn't write on anything this week. So I don't have any keeping tabs. Jonathan, you already hinted that you don't have any keeping tabs either.
But one thing I just found out I thought I would share is that the role of Buzz Lightyear originally, they were thinking about Jim Carrey. And
that's great.
And Paul Newman for Woody. So
it's amazing. It's amazing.
No, we just did The Witcher. I looked up some stuff on characters and stuff, but there wasn't anything like interesting. Like nothing I found humorous or interesting. Sorry.
Yeah.
The temptation to edit this around in a way that makes that conversation in keeping tabs in a really I may spend too many hours trying to do that, so I'll see you next year.
Nice. Ian, that brings it down to you. What's your keeping tabs for this week?
So I've got 3. Again, there wasn't a lot to really talk about in Suicide Squad or The Witcher. There wasn't a lot that I had to Google because it's pretty much all right in front of you. But I do have 3 forbidden sins that didn't make it in. So on The Witcher, it was really, really bizarre to me that Captain Boomerang was using his boomerang to wipe shit off of his shoe, especially when you consider the placement of said boomerang. It ends up like he stores.
You're talking about Suicide Squad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did I say?
You said The Witcher, and I was like,
Sorry.
"There's a Captain Boomerang in Witcher."
Yeah, no,
that's amazing.
In the Suicide Squad, sorry, context clues wasn't enough. But the boomerang ends up on his chest, and the boomerang itself, when he sat down, is so close to his nose. And I'm like, this was an interesting, considering its eventual resting place is under Boomerang's nose, this is an odd choice of fecal remover. I'm like, just do it in any other way. Don't use your boomerang, man.
Yeah.
And the opening credits, when it's like an hour and a half into the film, and then they decide to put the Warner Brothers opening credits or whatever it is title card in the sea after what's his name, Savant, has died.
Right.
Waiting this long to splash your self-indulgent sanguine sea credits into your audience's eye socket. But I liked that a lot. But Jeremy obviously, so he didn't.
That's always what you should take from when your sins get deleted. Is the person hates you.
It's the healthy thing to do.
It is very different on CinemaSins though versus TV, because TV sins. I mean, we do cut on TV sins, but I feel like generally we can leave a lot more in. Whereas CinemaSins, sometimes you have combines that are like well in the 300s, and it'd be like a 35-minute video.
Yeah.
And a large portion of our fan base just went, yes!
Oh, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said it. You could make 2 videos. But seriously, there's obviously a lot of overlap and stuff like that. But
for sure, definitely. Some of it is just time, definitely. And so this is a sin that made it in, but in a different form. And there's a moment where it's I think it was kids. I was like, wait, who am I supposed to root for? Originally, that went on for a lot longer. There was about 5 or 6 back and forth throughout the entire conversation, just cutting between them as they swore at each other. It was like kids, parents, kids, parents, kids, parents. Yeah. And then the tag on the end of it, but it got trimmed down to kids, parents, kids. I think it still works. I'd still love to see that version of the full length version of it and see if it would work.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
No, that's interesting. Just the way scripts kind of evolve and change, and the collaboration process, and it's like we were just talking. Well, I don't know if you guys knew about this, but maybe I'll just make this my keeping tabs. Originally, Buzz Lightyear might have been Jim Carrey, and so sometimes
you've just added 6 hours of editing work because now I've got to move that as well into earlier.
Nope, it's all locked in place now. It's all locked in place now.
We're like Paul Rudd bringing the Mac and Me video to Conan
the Mac
O'Brien.
and Me clip just keeps coming back. Yeah.
Gosh, dang it.
All right, let's move into the comment section.
I want to know what you're thinking.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
We're each going to pick a comment from the week's content in the various places you might reach out: Discord, YouTube, Reddit, etc. Jonathan, why don't you kick us off? What's your comment this week?
Mine was actually kind of based on what you were talking about with the Harley eating the apple. Leonard Rodriguez on the Suicide Squad commented, I got to agree with them on this. Harley taking a bite of that apple and staring into the camera during a slow-mo hero shot was definitely a galaxy-sized middle finger aimed directly at CinemaSins. If it is true, I don't really think that I would call that a middle finger. I feel like that's
it's a wink.
It's almost like
a wink more than a middle finger.
But also, I don't know that I buy. I mean, like you said, that Apple thing's been a trope forever. But I mean, it's just always. I like that fans, think about that and stuff like that. But I never know really. I don't know. Maybe I feel a little pretentious putting too much thought into it because I kind of hope it is.
No. Yeah, sure, of course you do. Of course we do. Of course we hope that a big name like James Gunn knows who we are and would wink at us in that way. Of course we hope that. We don't know that that's true, nor do most of us, I don't actually any of us, believe that that's true. Like, it's just, it again has been around for a long, long time. It's interesting to watch our fans believe that it's true because you go through like the comments on a quote like that and, and there are a lot of fans that are just like, oh, absolutely, 100%, Gunn is talking to CinemaSins with that. And yeah, that's not, we don't know or believe that, but we think it's fun. We think it's certainly fun to have that conversation. And we do know for a fact that there are movie directors who know of us and, we know for a fact there are movie directors who love us. We know for a fact there are movie directors who hate us. We do know that we have been observed by, the industry at large. But
observed. That's a very kind way of putting it.
I think it's probably more even-handed than we think. I genuinely believe that. I think a lot of times it's the negative stuff feels louder, and a lot of times the positive stuff isn't said. And that's
I've interviewed writers, directors, and actors that have said, oh no, we're really big fan of the, this. I guess they're talking about Sincast because that's usually what I'm doing that for. But like, big fan of the podcast, and or big fan of the videos, and then they'll say things later where you're like, okay, they're being serious, because sometimes you think people could just say, just being nice, but
sometimes
it would make sense.
Those people definitely exist.
It would be a bit crappy to come on and say, I hate what you guys do, but I guess we'll do an interview together.
Well, sometimes with like Sandberg, right? Like with David Sandberg, like there's this other level of they're not necessarily coming out and saying whether they like what we do or don't like what we do, but it's clear that they are aware of us. That Sandberg video where he talked about Shazam in some of the stuff, and then we actually used his mock sins in the video. It's one of my favorite things we've ever done.
Yeah, and he tweeted about the CinemaSins video for the Annabelle movie he did. So
yeah. So and how he feels about it, he hasn't like explicitly said, but we definitely have had like a subconscious back and forth with him, which is really fun. And like Jeremy's imitation of the way he delivered those sins in his video is so perfect and so fun. And so, yeah, I feel good about it. Like I genuinely feel good that, that there's been an impact from this thing that we're involved in that the industry knows about. And yes, some people hate it for sure. They've made that clear. But
that day that Jamie Lee Curtis shared the Halloween CinemaSins video on Twitter, that was the one day where I let myself be like, "Oh, that's so fucking awesome!" And like I told everybody about that. And I have no idea if she liked, but it wasn't like she definitely wasn't because they were doing a watch along of 20 because a lot of people did watch alongs during the pandemic, and Jamie Lee just simply said, "Hey, have you guys seen this?" So it felt very much like casual,
organic.
Yeah, it wasn't like this sucks. I don't think she would have shared it if she thought it did. It was more like, oh, this is fun. So I was just like, God, yes, thank you, Jamie. You've made my year.
Coming through. Honestly, I had not the same comment, but a very similar comment because it was a huge part of conversation. But this is from Naked Fame, who says the movie seems like this is about the Suicide Squad. This movie seems like a love letter to CinemaSins or a kick in the groin. I'm not really sure. I just know it's perfect.
Love it.
That's kind of what we were just saying. Sometimes we don't know if it's a love letter or a kick in the groin, and that's okay. Like, so yeah. Ian, what about you? What did you have?
So I have got I know this is not the name of the game. I have so many comments, but just stop me.
No, go for it.
You didn't have to literally take over Danae. Like, you just...
It feels like a character has left in season 3 of a TV show and been replaced by a very similar character.
Shall we call you Poochie from The Simpsons?
Yep. Phone. I will take phone.
Sure,
that's fine. So yeah, nitpickers of the
that.
This is for Suicide Squad. Regarding the drowning bit, it's actually dangerous to try and grab someone while they are flailing. They are just as likely to climb you and push you under. If you don't have a flotation device for them, you're supposed to wait until they stop flailing. So this is referring to Weasel, or whatever he is, drowning, and I sinned the fact that nobody was helping him out. They were more worried about, hey, can he swim? I was like, well, fucking no, because he's drowning. Like, help the man out. But apparently, you're supposed to let them do their thing and then drag them out and do all of the CPR business, and a lot of people backed it up. So
that is. I have done lifeguard training when I worked at a camp, and there's obviously a caveat to that, which is don't let somebody drown.
but they'd be fighting you, right? Like if they're freaking out, they're fighting you.
Yes.
You need them to be calm.
There's just as much of a chance of
you drowning
in that situation of both of you dying if you try to get involved in their panicking. So yeah, that's why you'll see in movies sometimes they'll knock people out, like they'll swim out and they'll just like punch them in the face and then drag them to safety.
That's crazy.
But
absolutely crazy. Yeah. So I think that's a green. I think that or whatever system we use to rate this, I think they are absolutely correct. Another one from Suicide Squad was referring to the brain. This is me. Apparently, I got everything wrong this week.
Everything wrong with Ian in 90 minutes or less.
Great. I'm so glad that show exists. This show exists. So it was the fact that the radio communication was down, but the signal to punch through to the bombs in their brains, that was still working, and I thought that was nonsense. But apparently, that this is realistic. Voice comms, particularly encrypted communications, require a lot more bandwidth to transmit and would thus use a higher frequency. Higher frequency transmissions are more easily disrupted for all sorts of reasons. However, devices that send receive single bits of data, such as pages, operate at a lower frequency and are much harder to block or jam. Man,
there you go.
That's brilliant, and I'm so glad that I'm wrong, but yeah, if I'd have done a few minutes of research, I probably would have found that out. But it just seemed like, well, duh, like why this seems like such a plot convenience, and I can't imagine the writers thought.
Well, and let's take a second during nitpicking the nitpickers of the nitpickers, just to remember that we're talking about a narrator character who doesn't want to do that research and is just spouting off, and we're all in it for the lulz. So there you go. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was well done. That's another green, I think. And I've got a third one that I know for a fact is a green, and this is on The Witcher. I really am starting to worry for my job now because I'm kidding. I got all of this wrong. So the door illusion, which I forgot to mention, is the fact that he approaches the door, knocks on it, and his hand goes through it. I was like, well, this is the dumbest illusion in the world. And it's so dumb that I should have realised it's deliberate. So the door's illusion is broken, and thank you to Hardwire. The door's illusion is broken thanks to a charm that he wears. Anyone else, it would feel solid. The wolf head medallion detects and dispels simple magic spells. Now, okay, correct, but the show doesn't tell me that.
Right.
So I don't think that's ever mentioned in this episode. He might, now that I think about it, he looks down, so maybe he's looking at his medallion, but I have no idea that that's what that medallion does. And I don't know that it's ever mentioned in the series.
Yeah, we're still sending it even if we know that. But if we had known that, we would have mentioned it. But whatever.
Yeah, I'd have worked it in. Yeah. I was like, man, this is, unless he has some kind of medallion, and boy, that would be dumb.
I think we can go with a red on that one because cool. If the show doesn't mention it, then I think we are well within the right.
And maybe they mention it later in the season. I don't know, because that's the problem with TV shows.
They do.
But
the chat backs you up on that. The chat says that's never mentioned in the whole of the show. So
awesome.
So there you go.
Okay, I take it back.
Good.
I can keep
Ian feels better about himself. He can go into the weekend feeling good.
Good. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, did you have one more?
Oh, sorry, no, I had just one. It wasn't a nitpicking thing. It was just how we've ruined food for people. And somebody, it was 28 Doodler said, "Hello, Netflix, had me chuckling way harder than necessary." And one of the replies to that was, "See, this is the reason I stopped eating and looking at CinemaSins at the same time." And someone totally different chimes in and says, "Or drinking, as I found out the hard way, I was drinking fucking milk." And it's just a brilliant thread about how I cannot watch CinemaSins and eat and drink at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
All right, let's move into Beyond the Sins.
To infinity and beyond!
Somewhere beyond my wild history.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
We're just going to chat about something else from the world of pop culture that we have seen recently, and Jonathan's going to kick us off on this one. What are you watching?
I've been trying to watch some 2021 stuff that I hadn't seen yet, or that's coming out now, because we're getting close to the end of the year, and I just enjoy doing that. It's not like I have to create a list or anything, but I do because I'm a dork. But this week I watched Mass. I was really interested in this movie because I saw that Frank Kranz was the director, and he's, for those that know, watched the show Dollhouse. He was on that. He's in Cabin in the Woods, might be the thing he's most known for, playing the stoner character, I guess, in the group of four that go to the cabin in the woods. He's a really fun actor, so I'm always interested when actors direct because I'm always curious. And he's not in it either; like he's just behind the camera. And it's one of those things. I don't want to say too much about it. If you can go into this not knowing anything, that's awesome. Like, try to just go into this because something happened. Basically, the setup is that these two groups of parents are meeting, and like this, I guess it's a church. I think it's supposed to be. It's like a church or a rec center or something. But they're meeting like in this room in there. And clearly something tragic has happened in their lives involving their kids. You don't know exactly what it is at first. You don't know which one was more affected, that kind of thing. So that's kind of the interesting part of learning that as it goes, because I think the performances, the way they go about revealing things is part of the movie's charm, I guess, if you want to say that. It's a really, it's a dark movie, not visually, but for subject matter, I think it's gonna. There's probably some triggers and stuff for parents and whatnot. So beware that there is a lot of pretty sad and tragic subject matter discussed. But the acting in this movie is so good. One of the sets of parents is Jason Isaacs and Martha Plimpton. The other one is Reed Birney, who you might know from The Hunt and House of Cards. And Ann Dowd, who I think most recently was probably most well known for Handmaid's Tale. Ann Dowd, I can totally see. Like, I feel like I've heard more about her than anyone. I totally get that. She's outstanding. Isaacs and Plimpton are really good. I actually kind of like Reed Birney's the one I feel like is kind of getting the short shrift though, just because his is more. I wouldn't call it straight man, but he's got to play it a little differently. But I think he's really good too. Like, I just think they all played their parts in it so well. It all pretty much takes place in one room. And this is a type of scenario, when it works, I just love it. 12 Angry Men is one of my all-time favorite movies. That's probably maybe the greatest example of this kind of situation. But so but as far as the directing goes, I mean, I think he still does a good job. He plays around with just movement around the room, the way he handles close-ups and pullbacks and stuff like that. I think is really intricate and moves the story along in an interesting way. So I do think there's talent there. I'm looking forward to seeing if he does what he does next. I think it's a really good movie. I don't know that I'm quite like, I think I gave it 4 stars on Letterboxd. I don't know what it is that's keeping me from that 5th star. I think some of it feels a little familiar at times, and it might be a few minutes longer than I would like it to be. There's a little bit that goes on at the end that I'm not sure was completely necessary. But overall, if you like just seeing like really good performances and if you like this kind of movie, I highly recommend it. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
I had a very similar experience to you, Jonathan, with this movie. I knew nothing about it going in, like zero, and really, really appreciated that I didn't. Yeah, because the movie reveals itself to you, I think, beautifully. And there are 4 great performances here, and the subject matter is well worth existing in this conversation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Know that you're going into kind of a this could very much easily have been an easy to stage play, right? Because you're going into not exactly like Locke or something like that, where it's like all one environment, but it's pretty much a bottle episode, right? You know, it's just kind of conversation and primarily one location, and so you're not.
I assumed it was a play, but I don't think it was. Like I think that was that's right. Okay, I'm right. That's right.
But it very easily could be.
Oh yeah.
That could definitely be something that happens. It reminded me a little bit, and I can't remember the name of the movie, and I it's unfortunate because I just watched it recently, and it has a similar feel to this, and it's basically just two sets of parents talking about...
You're talking about Carnage.
Carnage, yes, thank you. I couldn't remember...
Polanski.
Yeah, I remember feeling a definite Carnage feel to this, but I think this is better. I think this is better than Carnage.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mass is definitely worth checking out.
Less problematic director too, as far as I know.
There you go.
You said Carnage, but my brain heard Rampage.
Well, it is definitely also better than Rampage. So, which was also a sin in one of this week's videos, I think. Still better than Rampage.
Yeah.
So all comes full circle.
Which I was thinking while I was watching that, I was like, ooh, Aaron does not agree with that.
I like Rampage.
I know you do. That's why I was saying.
Yeah.
You can be wrong.
I get permission to be wrong occasionally. I'll go next. I got caught up on Succession, and the finale was recently for the third season of Succession on HBO and HBO Max. Am I the only one on the team watching this show? Maybe Chris is. Is Chris watching it?
I think you're correct that Chris is watching it. I have never seen it. It's on my list. I mean, it's definitely something I want to watch at some point, but no, I have not seen it.
Yeah, because there's not a lot. I just know, we have pop culture conversations on our Slack all the time, much to the chagrin of some members of the team.
One member.
But there's very little Succession talk, especially for a show considering and again, it's so hard to know sometimes how deep the public consciousness of stuff goes, but it feels like there's a little bit, as the finale was happening, of monoculture going on where enough people knew about it and were following Succession that it kind of popped up, like it was memed all over Twitter. It was, so there's definitely lots of people watching. So I just thought I'd talk about it here. I think the show gets better and better every year. I genuinely think the third season maybe its best. I think the finale of the third season is possibly the best of any of the finales. This is really, really great story work. The character work is also magnificent. The acting is absolutely spectacular. There is an element of, and this might be strange to hear me talking positively about a show like this, but there is an element of who are we rooting for here to this show. And for me, the reason I think it works is because we our rooting interest is about rooting against rather than rooting for, or in many ways observing the actual consequences of these kinds of attitudes and behaviors. There's a satire to it a little bit that, feels a little bit over the top, but it basically just, again, follows this, Rupert Murdoch type family that the four kids, that's actually a joke within the show that I just accidentally made. The four kids and how they're dealing with the fact that their dad's getting older. He is obviously the Rupert Murdoch type tycoon, and who's going to take over the business, and do they, want it? And how the infighting and all that kind of stuff. But there is an absolute genius to some of this writing. It is, and I think it would vibe a lot with CinemaSins fans, because there's a real, there's a grittiness to it, a harshness to it, a real cleverness to it. Some of the ways they insult each other would feel right at home in CinemaSins videos. It's just, it's profane, it's beautiful, it's a really incredible show. So big recommend. It just keeps getting better and better in my opinion, and is one I always look forward to. So nice. Yeah. So I mentioned that because it just finished up, and I don't have a lot of people to talk to about it in my life.
Is this the show that has a Culkin on it? Is it Kernan?
Yeah, Kieran Culkin is one of the 4 children, and maybe the best part of the show.
He hosted SNL, and I remember thinking, like, why is Kieran Culkin hosting SNL?
He's so great. He's so great. Jeremy Strong.
I love Jeremy Strong.
Most recently, you may know from Trial of Chicago 7. I'm trying to think of something else he's been in recently, but Jeremy Strong is absolutely astonishing in this. So yeah, everybody's doing really great work here. So yeah, big recommend. And I don't know I would have given it this big of a recommend after the first season. But again, it just keeps getting better and better. I assume they'll do 5 seasons. I assume they've got 2 more seasons in them, because they do have to come to, some sort of head here eventually. But
are these like 10 episodes? Is that like what they're doing?
Yeah.
And they're 50 minutes or something?
Yeah. Yep. 9 or 10 50-minute episodes per season. So there's a little backlog if you haven't started, but nothing Sopranos like.
That's what summers are for.
Not that kind of Sopranos mountain to climb. Ian, you get to finish us off.
Yes, I'm going to recommend an old show that's on the BBC called The Thick of It. And the reason this jumped back into my head, well, I say old, 2005 to...
Is this the one that they made the movie? It's not the political. It's not the political.
It is the political thing.
Yeah. There's I haven't seen the show, but I've seen the movie that spun off from it, because your Doctor Who's in it. He plays the asshole. Yeah. What is that movie? Oh.
Correct. Yeah, so the reason this jumped into my head is because Peter Capaldi is in this show, and I managed to pull some outtakes from him to put into Suicide Squad, which was great, because his character is the reason to watch this show. The premise is that it takes place in 10 Downing Street, and it follows the name of the department, or the name of the department changes throughout the series, and it's one of these throwaway departments that if you're a minister, you get chucked there to basically die and your career is over. And Peter Capaldi's role is to be a fixer. He's a spin doctor. So anything that's like bad publicity-wise, he has to deal with it. But the way it is, like, he is just fantastically abusive. And some of the lines that he comes out with are just hilarious. Like, I would pay money to have him insult me the way that he insults people on this show. And it's the same. So the creator is Armando Iannucci. And he wrote Death of Stalin, and there is so much of that back and forth in this show. So if you like Death of Stalin, I pretty confidently say you'll love this show. Yeah, it's about British politics, but it gives you all that you need to enjoy it. It is just freaking hilarious. It's so funny. And regardless, putting Peter Capaldi to one side, all of the other actors are fantastic as well. Like the show just holds up so well. It's just as applicable today as it was 15 years ago when it came out. It's so much fun. So that's available on the BBC. I'm sure it'll be on BBC America now.
Yeah, In the Loop is the movie.
I think I need to watch it. I don't think I've seen it. Yeah, so that's great. That's something I haven't seen.
Yeah, it came out in 2009. Yeah, no, I need to watch The Thick of It, because it's the same characters and stuff, although they add people. Like James Gandolfini plays the President of the United States, and him and Capaldi have a scene that's just fantastic. I used some of Capaldi's dialogue from that movie when Aaron and I said Paddington, because Capaldi's in it, and or one of the Paddington movies. And so I've got like Capaldi like leaning out a window going like, fuck you, fuck, in a Paddington movie. And
that's great.
He like comes up, like he creates curse words. It's an amazing.
Oh, he does.
It's an amazing performance.
It's so great.
So this connects directly to Succession. Armando Iannucci directed In the Loop. The writer of In the Loop was Jesse Armstrong, another British writer. He runs Succession. Succession is his show. So awesome. A lot of the writing that I'm talking about, like that clever profanity, all that kind of stuff, is from the same mind as the writer of In the Loop. So like it's amazing. So yeah, so we there's definitely DNA connections between The Thick of It and Succession. By the way, The Thick of It is on Hulu. Here in the States, all 4 seasons. Of
course it is.
So
it's probably on Stars and Star as well.
And Jesse Armstrong wrote the year after In the Loop came out. He wrote another political satire called Four Lions, which is also excellent. I'm definitely want to watch Succession now.
Yeah, Jesse Armstrong is incredible, and I think the Adam McKay directed the first episode of Succession. I think he produces the show.
Man,
yeah,
talk about
there's
a director that's going to have just such an interesting filmography when all is said and done. That guy is.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So there you go. That is The Thick of It on Hulu. Succession I should say all 4 seasons of The Thick of It are on Hulu. All 3 seasons of Succession are on HBO Max. And Mass, I believe, is currently in limited release in theaters and will probably eventually.
It might be like a $19.99 rental or something. I'm not sure. I haven't looked, but.
Yeah, I don't think it's available for rental yet.
Okay.
But I imagine it will be within the next month or so. Well, that's going to do it for Behind the Sins this week. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed and go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. If you've got anything you want to send us, you can mail it to us. P.O. Box 881, Republic, Missouri 65738. You can hang out with us on Twitter. I'm at Aaron Dicer. He is at Wits End.
WHITTSINNE.
And he is at Sam Loomis 13. So for Jonathan Watkins, Ian Whittington, a sentient plastic-faced Christmas tree, and myself, we will see you next week.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holiday. Christmas bells are ringing.
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to bts@cinemasins.com and be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. Find more ways to connect by visiting cinemasins.com/bts.
I had a friend that I used to work with, and he was the most non-religious person that I've ever met in the entire world. Like, actively God-hating and...
So anti-religious, not just non-religious, anti-religious.
Yeah, anti-religious, yeah. Not just agnostic, actively atheistic. And he would just absolutely destroy anybody that chose to believe anything. Mm-hmm. But whenever it came round to Christmas... and I shortened it to Xmas in a text message, he would lose it with me. And I was like, I thought you would be supporting this.
But seriously, that is why the CHRIST's in there, right? So I'm confused. I wonder when was it ever Christmas? Or, you know what I'm saying?
Because
like,
it is a bit, burdensome to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it sounds weird now, but if it had always been Christmas, we would just call it Christmas.
Not.
I mean, it's just like anything else.
But this is how language works. Like, if you listen, there's a great podcast called Lexicon Valley that I listen to that goes over...
No more podcasts. Shut up.
Origins.
Stop your recommendations.
Origins of words and all that kind of stuff. And,
that's really cool. I have to write that down.
In language, it just evolves. Like, things lose their hard...
For sure.
They lose their hard consonants in the middle of words. Like, we have a lot of words like this that started as, kind of a compound word that just became its own word. And Christmas is one of them. Absolutely, it was Christmas. And then people just lazily kind of got into saying Christmas. Yeah, like it just happens over, years and years and years or whatever. So approximately 2,000 years, if you believe some.
Well, quite, yes.
In Tennessee, there's a Lafayette. And it's spelled like Lafayette.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else in the United States would say Lafayette, but here it's Lafayette. There's also a Santa Fe, Tennessee, and it is spelled like Santa Fe.
Well, look at Detroit. Detroit is Detroit. It was Detroit, Michigan, and Americanized. It's like, no, we pronounce our letters. It's Detroit.
It's Detroit, like the depot and delivery, and
that's a depot. It's not a depot. That's a depot.
You do not say depot.
No, we don't say depot. We still say depot.
But he would smash a watermelon with a sledgehammer.
Is that a euphemism?
No, he literally he had watermelons. It was always at the end of his show.
Excuse me while I go smash a watermelon.
He would do
it's been a long week.
mediocre stand-up comedy, and then he would bring some watermelons out. Everybody would get excited. I mean, it was
his thing. It was his hook.
He made a lot of money.
He made a lot of money smashing melons.
All power to him.
Yep. Ian can't get over it.
I mean, even today, you could make a lot of money smashing watermelons.
It's true.
Carrot Top's still making a living.
Of course he is.
Just pulling weird items out of trunks. Now, Carrot Top's actually can be genuinely...
really clever. Carrot Top is
very
really,
smart,
really clever. And I don't know if I
have that. I don't know if I feel the same about Gallagher.
Well, see, with Carrot Top, I have this like deep connective empathy with him because he's basically doing with props what I do with words, right? Like, like he's taking turns and using them in creative ways and, just kind of connecting the dots that maybe other people wouldn't connect. And so, yeah, there's a real, it's visual puns. He's doing visual puns, and it's a beautiful thing.
No, I used to watch him a lot, but I mean, he's had that Vegas show for years. So obviously he's doing something right.
Absolutely.
You can't do that. And I know people like to make fun of people like Wayne Newton and Donny Osmond and Carrot Top.
But I feel like the Carrot Top
these
stuff,
are people.
The Carrot Top stuff sometimes I think is mean because it's visual based. I think people make fun of his appearance, and
Oh yeah, that's true. They do, which is terrible. And even when he I think he took that to heart. I mean, I don't know why he started, but he really got into like working out and stuff. And he's like a really muscular dude, or he was. And then people started making fun of that.
Yep.
Like I remember seeing those pictures of him, like bodybuilding and stuff.
Yep. People be
he had
people.
this one great bit though. When I was a kid, I thought this was funny as hell, where he talked about he found a Domino's, like an old Domino's uniform somewhere. And then like him and his friends would call Domino's. And then when the guy got there, he would answer the door in the Domino's outfit. Like, what the hell took you so long? Like, they had to call me from another store because you were taking so long,
Thankfully, these fine people let me in.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say that he opens the door with a pizza and tries to give the pizza to the guy delivering the pizza to him.
I put our tree up the day after Thanksgiving. Still, no, I'm sorry. The weekend before Thanksgiving, still haven't decorated it. But the tree's up.
It's just that stood there in the corner looking really naked.
Actually, it's one of those trees though. It's like it's got like colors and stuff to it, so it actually kind of works without the decorations.
Nice.
But I will decorate it probably this weekend.
Nice.
My daughter likes to do that with me, so we'll probably do that this weekend.
Fun.
By the way, standing there in the corner looking completely naked is Barbara's Wi-Fi passwords.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I'm still trying to get that into a script somehow.
It's impossible. It's way too. See, Jonathan doesn't even get it.
And that's the problem. Like, it's so snowflakey that only 3 people in the entire world.
I mean, Chris.
No. But the problem is there's only 3 people in the world that know, and 2 of them are on this call.
Although I will say we did put that Jeremy Semser.
That's true.
Like basically,
That's
it was
true.
a conversation. It's something that Jeremy knows about Aaron, and he worked on WandaVision, and they had an Easter egg. Like it was like Semser, like like I don't know if you remember this episode, but there's like they show some paint and it says Semser on it.
Semser paint, yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Awesome.
That's our friend Jeremy Semser, and Raiders of the Lost Ark is his favorite movie of all time, and Aaron's favorite Raiders of the Lost Ark movie our favorite Indiana Jones movie is Last Crusade, and so that was kind of a thing between them. And
That's
so
amazing.
I wrote a sen. Like, I don't know why this paint makes me think of this, but I'm once again reminded that The Last Crusade is the best Indiana Jones movie.
So just as a matter of explanation for anyone who might be listening to this in case this makes the outtakes, we stayed last time we were in Nashville, the 3 of us, Ian, Danae, and myself stayed in an Airbnb that was run by a wonderful woman named Barbara.
It was a 1-bedroom. It was actually a studio. We still don't know how.
There was one bed.
We don't know what the sleeping arrangements were.
No. Yeah, there was no bedrooms. Yeah.
Top, tail, top, and we won't tell you which order.
This wonderful woman named Barbara does the Airbnb, and her Wi-Fi was like cowgirl, like the name of the Wi-Fi was like Cowgirls or something like that.
It literally was Cowgirls, yeah.
Cowgirls, and then
You're in Nashville, Tennessee, man.
Well, and then the Wi-Fi password was like this weird double entendre, like it was like put it somewhere else, or
it was don't put it. It was like don't put it there, here, or something.
Yeah,
It was like don't put it there, put it here.
Yeah, it was some.
You're giving away this poor woman's Wi-Fi password.
Is she trying to be saucy, or is this is it just she didn't realize that that it could be taken a different way?
Be referring to?
And so, anyways, since then that has become that's what she said. So anytime there's something that could be a double entendre, one of us will look at each other and go, Barbara's Wi-Fi password. So that's where that comes from.
Stretched,
yeah, that would be a tough one to get in.
Yes, that would be definitely
that's
tough.
also Barbara's Wi-Fi password. Christmas Eve and the day after was always 2 really busy days.
Yeah, definitely when I didn't do retail, but I did food, so that was...
The day after Christmas Eve is Christmas, right?
He said the day after Christmas, didn't he?
No, he said Christmas Eve and the day after. I think he thought Christmas Eve was the evening of Christmas.
No, I did. No, I did not.
Okay, all right.
No, I didn't. No, Christmas Eve. No, I just dislike Christmas so much that I won't call it by its name.
I believe you mean Christmas Eve,
but
okay,
Christmas,
fine.
Yeah, the day after Christmas Eve.
You should start calling it like Crustmas. Really.
Crust. Oh, no, that's gross. I hate that.
I've never been happier that I didn't go to church until I had a child, because we used to get all our diapers and formula. We got everything at Toys R Us because we could go Sunday mornings and no one was there.
Took me a while to wonder how that story was getting from.
It took a second to get there, but seriously,
I love it
because formula is expensive, especially if you get don't get generic formula, which I don't recommend.
Especially in the amounts you have to buy to make meth. It's just like
I know.
It just costs so much.
That's the other reason I discovered how to make meth.
Is that a thing?
After I had a child.
Yes.
Is that a thing?
Formula became like a protected substance. Like stores had to ID check people.
So much,
you only buy so much, and
That's unreal. The things people do for meth.
Yeah.
It's all Breaking Bad's fault.
Well, when you got to figure.
I'm kidding.
When you got to figure out how much formula you need and how much it's going to cost, that's a lot of mathematics. I mean, it's really difficult.
That tone of voice that he gets, and you absolutely know a pun is coming, and it still blindsides you. It's like, I know what he's doing, but we'll let him get there.
Just let him finish. It's like the dog on the leg.
Finish.
Just let him finish.
Yep. Also, let him finish his Barbara's Wi-Fi password.
It's true. Oh, man.
Do you have to buy a lot of stuff, Ian?
Right. So if, let's say, percentage-wise, you start at 100% of the presents that you have to buy, and then the more you buy, that percentage goes down. I'm at 100%.
Oh, so you haven't shopped at all?
I have to buy everything. I haven't done anything.
Yeah, once you're an adult, it's just like, I mean, it's a fun day to spend time together, eat a bunch of food, like that kind of stuff. But the gift giving part,
a movie.
Yeah, like the gift giving part is just, it's not priority for us. It's weird. We're in this place now. We only have one of our 4 left at home now, and 3 of my boys asked for debt forgiveness for Christmas.
Oh, that's amazing.
That is clever.
That's genius.
So
and you didn't give it to them. That's the funny thing.
No, of course not. Of course not. They're going to pay with interest everything they owe.
Presents.
That's right. You're going to pay all your debt with interest, and also here's a yo-yo. That's.
I'm going to go to Toyota, and I'm going to go to Chevrolet and be like, hey, you know what you could get me for Christmas, Chevrolet dealer?
Debt forgiveness. You know what everyone really wants this year?
The rest of my car loan.
Yeah.
That's right. It's the year of Jubilee. Sorry, hardcore Bible reference there for all the Bible heads.
I got it. 13 years at Church of Christ school. I'm good at Bible trivia.
Yeah.
Man, I can... Bible Jeopardy categories, I nail it. I told people, some people don't think that joke's that funny. Some people take me seriously that are really religious, and they think it's sad.
Page 94 of the Old Testament.
Well, but what version of the Old Testament?
The King
I'm not a versayer, no.
I don't know the King James. I could tell you NIV or the Message.
Actually, any version of the Bible. Do you know what's on page 94? Because
that's interesting.
That question's stupid.
So you haven't studied King James? Well, I mean, you probably did.
No,
when you were
I'm
a kid,
being silly. I don't know page numbers of the Bible at all.
Why ask the question? That didn't matter.
Have you seen Penn and Teller live, Aaron?
I haven't. It's on my bucket list. I definitely want to do it before I go.
They do. I don't know if they've ever done it, because I know they do some of their acts on that show and stuff, but they have this one where they pass around a box of books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have you seen this?
And
2 people will pick out random books. They'll pick out a page and a line, and then Penn will figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's amazing. I know. I mean, obviously there's a trick there, but I still to be able to do that though, he still has to in some way have memorized.
Well, have you seen Derek Delgadio's In and of Itself? Derek Delgadio's In and of Itself. It's streaming on Hulu. If it was available for awards consideration, it would have been one of my favorite movies of the year. But it's not. It's kind of like Hamilton, where it's just filming his stage show. But he is a magician, but he does a one-man show called In and of Itself that is one of the most incredible things I have ever seen. And I don't want to give away any of it, because it really is one of those experiences where you just kind of want to go experience the thing and have your own experience. In fact, the thing is about having your own experience with the thing. So there's kind of, a little bit of meta-ness to telling you this. But yeah, just Derek DelGaudio's in and of itself. Everyone I've recommended it to who has popped it on has told me thank you and that they loved it. So I
just went to Hulu and put it in my queue. So
yeah, it's great. It's just really great.
In England, or are you just screwing me again?
I don't know Barbara's Wi-Fi password, but
you don't have Hulu. You have Star, which is weird because do you have Stars?
We have Stars, yeah, because it's
that's
Stars
confusing.
is an attachment for Disney Plus.
No,
that's Star.
That's Star.
But what
I'm
about
talking
Stars
about we
with
have
a
a
Z?
cable channel in the States called Stars.
What? You have Star and Stars?
Well, we don't have Star. This
Wait, what?
This is like an Abbott and Costello routine.
So wait, which one's on Disney?
Star. It's just Star singular. We have a cable station, a premium cable station called Stars with a Z on the end.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's an Amazon Prime attachment.
Probably. Yes, they have that. I think that is
That
here
sounds
too.
right.
So
Sure.
you could probably get
Okay.
it. Like Encore. And,
So it'll be on there then.
no,
it'll
I
be on-
think he was just asking a question.
No.
He was just curious.
It'll be on your Hulu. If your Hulu is Disney Plus add-on, that's what it would be on.
I don't know. I don't have it as an add-on. I wish we had some way to immediately search this.
Let's see.
No, Star. Don't you have... I thought... God, I'm not even going through this again. I did not mean to confuse you. I just thought it was funny if you had both because it's like so similar. I don't know why
Where can
Disney
I watch-
called it that.
I do have both.
Where can I watch In and of
know.
Itself in the UK? Derek DelGaudio's In and of Itself coming soon to Disney Plus UK Ireland.
Nice.
Disney has announced that Derek DelGaudio's In and of Itself will be coming exclusively to Disney Plus in the United Kingdom and Ireland on Friday, December 31st, 2021. Hey, you're a couple weeks
awesome.
out.
That's great.
It's dropping for you in a couple weeks. Merry Christmas.
Love it. Thank you very much. So I'll just... It's
yeah.
on one of those.
What's on
Star
third?
Stars.
No.
Do you know who Abbott and Costello are?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You've never seen Who's on First?
You should just look that up. I'm sure you can
That
find
is
it on
like
YouTube.
Defining classic vaudevillian comedy.
Yeah.
Like it is.
Oh, I would love that then.
It is the text of a sketch comedy. Like, yeah, Who's on
I don't
First
even really.
is
I mean,
brilliant.
basically, he's saying that like the person's name is who. So he's saying
And
who's
so
on.
they're just confusing each other.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
And then
Oh, I love it.
what's on second? You know, and or no, he's on second. You know, it's just it's a whole. But it's I mean, they're a lot of that's dated and stuff. But they're
It's
the best.
so great though because he'll be like Who's on First? Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly is the name of the guy on First? No, who? Exactly.
That is the theme tune to the intro. It's not a theme tune. It's the countdown.
Good morning, Pacific time people. What's up?
No, you're
Man,
the worst.
I'm never gonna live that down. Never, ever
you're
gonna
not.
live that. Nor should I. I don't even know how that happens. I genuinely don't know how that happens.
That was amazing.
Pacific time. Everyone's like, what are you doing to us?
Was that beer?
No, that was a glass of water. It is in a
It
beer.
looked a little.
Sorry.
Well, it looked a little. I don't know. I just assumed because it was.
It
the
might have just been
glass.
the...
Yeah.
What, just assume because I'm in Ireland that I'm drinking beer? Or just
and it's
assume
also-
because I'm Ian that I'm drinking beer? Wow.
It's afternoon there too. It's not.
It is.
Too early.
It is 3:30. This would
Although-
be. This would be probably 4 hours into when it's acceptable to drink a beer.
Did you just say 3:30?
Yeah.
Nicely done. Wouldn't you usually say like 3:30 or something like that? Don't you usually say that like
Yeah.
different?
Usually it's 3:30. Yeah.
3:30, but you Americanized it for us. That was very nice.
Oh, I've never heard that before. That's a British thing.
Yeah.
3:30. Yeah, which confuses people because they don't know whether that means apparently whether that
2:30
means
or
it's
3:30. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would assume 3:30 because you're saying 3. So, but
But then
Yeah.
my argument is, well, couldn't that mean 1:30 because half of 3 is 1.5?
It's true. It's true. You make a valid point.
Ian mentioned the outtakes first. By the way,
Yes, I did. I did. Half till 3 doesn't... That's such a backwards and difficult way of saying that, though.
I
don't know.
agree. I agree. It should be 3:30.
Yeah, okay.
I just say
But it is.
3:30. Like I just say whatever time it is.
true.
So I said that to my parents. I said, "Oh, I'm going to be at yours at 11:30 or 2:30 or something, whatever it was." And they were like, "Oh, hello, Mr. America." I was like, "Wait, what? Did that out me?"
I still don't understand why we don't do a 24-hour clock in America. We're so stubborn. It's absolutely 100% should be military time.
My daughter has her phone on military time. I actually thought about that. I was like, oh, I bet Aaron Dicer would love this.
I do.
I didn't realize that wasn't a thing. I didn't realize you guys don't do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't.
Like, so passionately. That's. I'm not judging.
We're so weird and stubborn.
People that served in the military, for sure. Like, they'll...
Because they need to.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah. That'd be great if you just started the show now. Oh, he's back.
Oh, he came back. Oh, he's leaving again.
Oh, what's going on? Oh.
I feel like we're in the world's worst Zoom meeting right now.
I think people would appreciate yesterday that we had a meeting on, and we couldn't hear Ian. Aaron and I couldn't hear Ian, and Ian, rightfully so, really thought we were fucking with him for about 20 minutes.
I thought you were trolling me. So I didn't do anything about it. For like the first 2 minutes, I just thought, yeah, whatever. So and then I'm trying to chip into conversations, and I'm like, oh shit, no, they actually can't hear me.
Well, I think the problem was we read your lips pretty well, and so we were responding to your questions.
Yeah, it's like the episode. It's like Don't Blink on Doctor Who when he's having the conversation on the TV and it lines up perfectly. Yeah. I said something like, I don't know why this isn't working, and Aaron was just like, well, I don't know why it isn't working either. And I was like, no, you couldn't have lip-read all of that.
You've seen all the old stuff too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
every episode, probably 3
Every
or 4
episode that's
times.
available, because some have been lost, right?
Correct. A lot of the second Doctor stories have been lost because the insane thing about the BBC is that the budget was so tight, they would just start record over things once it was done because there was no such thing as VHS. Like there was no watching stuff at home unless it was on the TV. So they kept all of or the vast majority of the first Doctor stories, but they had massive budget cuts during the second Doctor, and they were just like, well, as soon as we filmed, that's going back in and we'll record over it. It's insane. So some of that stuff, like they don't even have the scripts. Like it is just gone. We will never
just
see
lost.
it again.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's wild. Until somebody discovers like the dead Doctor C scrolls or something, like, you know.
Yes. The actual TARDIS turns up. It's like, no, you've got to know this stuff. This is important.
Right. Crystal Pepsi, man. That was a thing.
Do you remember the Crystal Gravy commercial on SNL, Aaron?
Yes, I
so
do.
Gross.
I definitely do remember that.
It's playing that Van Halen song, and they're just pouring it all over potatoes.
Yes.
Right now.
So
Just
good.
the mailman.
I'll go ahead and start the whole segment over. Let me check.
We are doing so well.
So Captain Kangaroo was a kid's show, and the host was named Captain Kangaroo, and he wore a red suit. That's all I think. I think he did. I don't know.
Nice.